They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of display.
Hey everybody, what's up? This is Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. Now this is a request video, and the name will be displayed. Now the video is about basically what started gang activity in America. What created the gangs we have today, and basically where did it all start, especially from the black community perspective. Now, I just want to say this, that, we're gonna have some stuff I'm gonna be saying on here. You might, if you want to feel some type of way, like I tell people, if you're here with your feelings, then you're basically looking at things blindfolded. So if you're about your feelings, because your race might be mentioned, then you're not about what I'm about here. What I'm about here is, it's not about your ethnicity. It's not about your sexuality. It's not about none of that. It's all about, we're in the pursuit of logic and truth. That's all it's about, So, as you can see, I got the black suit on. Might not be able to see it, not enough light. But shout out to Anthony Spade. When you wear a suit, what happens is you basically disable a person's sense of, that you basically put someone's guard down, because when you're dressed casual and you're selling the truth or telling the truth, whatever, people, their guard is up because, look, he's dressed casual. This might be a scheme. This might be a scam. Because, you're dressed just like the people. So, and then they're projecting their own, thoughts on you because, when you're dressed normal, people tend not to trust you as much because you're just, it's so easy to project, their negative projections on you. So when you wear a suit, it's a lot easier to accept what you're saying because, oh, he's wearing a suit. He's about business. He's not here to waste my time. That's the benefit of wearing a suit. But what the video is about is, when did it start? When did all the gangs start, especially in the urban areas, the ghettos, and so on? When did it start? Well, the truth is this: it started in the 1950s. You see, there's a, and I'm gonna link it to here. There's a channel on YouTube called Sad Black Woman. He did a very in-depth video, man. I don't think he uploads as much, but all the gang activity, a lot of people like to, when you look at the surface, a lot of people like to blame, oh, the government started sending drugs into the community. That's why the community is full of gang members and violence. That's looking at things from the surface. That's looking at things, not from the beginning. The truth is this: the government, when gang activity started, the experimental community is the black community in America. Now, all the white people that were in power, in the Democrats, you know what I'm saying, in the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and not all of them, but all those in power at the time that saw an opportunity to negate a certain culture, to limit it, because here's the thing, man, a lot of black people and minorities that are, their mind isn't right. They're gonna say to all white people this, all white people that. But in reality, every community, not all of them have the same mission. You know what I'm saying? Not all the people in the black community have the same goals. Just like not all people in the Mexican community have the same goals. You know, that's why the thing is, that's one thing I hate, man. It gets under my skin is when a black person tells me, yo, we all need to come together. Then we'll accomplish something. No such thing. You know, that whole we all thing, and I plan to do a video on that, but that whole we all thing is absolutely living in denial, man. There's no such thing as we all will come together. You know what I mean? Not even the white community at its peak of power, you know, when every political office was majority white in this country, not even then did they all agree, you know. So you had a certain sector. Now let's get back to, you know, how gangs all started. You had a certain sector of the Democratic Party. You had a certain sector of them that had a goal. Their goal is to completely destroy the the black community. You know what I'm saying? The black unity. What people need to understand is that in the 50s and before then, you know, the black population had a higher marriage rate. You know, they had a higher marriage rate when you add up the percentages when compared to the white population back then, you know. So, but the black community didn't have a strong political, you know, their population didn't have a strong presence in the politics. So the Democrats had an idea. Now remember, the Democratic Party is the party that was against ending slavery. The Democratic Party had a genius idea, an idea that would, you know, an idea that would create the black community we have today. The Democratic Party had an idea. Their idea in the 50s was, you know, you had, I think, yeah, her name was Margaret Stratcher. She was I think a neogenesis or something like that. But their idea was, man, how do we separate the black unity? How do we destroy that black unity? And remember, now the black community is the testing grounds for what's going to happen to all communities. And it, you know, so what they did in the 50s, they came to the black community. They came to the black families. And this is basically the precursor to the no-fault divorce, the feminism, and everything we have here. Everything about destabilizing the family it all started here in the black community. So what they did, this democratic group, they came to the black family and they asked they asked the family, and they targeted the mother. They told the mother, we'll help you. And this is the birth, you know, with welfare. We'll give you, listen to this, man. We'll give you welfare. We'll help your family if the father isn't around. Now let me repeat that if you didn't hear it. We'll help you out if the father isn't around. Now, some of y'all just heard what I said. Some of y'all didn't add up, you know, you didn't add up what goes beyond that. Think about it. We'll help you if the father isn't there means we'll help you if you help us divide and destroy your family. So they offered the black families some welfare. And remember, this is the taxpayer money of the black community anyway, but the black community in the 50s didn't have as much, you know, what is it? Taxation without representation. There wasn't that much representation. So what they did is we'll help you, black people, if you destroy your family. So what they did now, there were a few black men here and there that, you know, went along with it, that said, okay, I'm going to get out the house. And when they don't see me, you know what I'm saying, they'll give my wife some money and I'll come in. But the majority black men, I'm thinking, weren't with this. And here's where this is the precursor to feminism and a precursor to the single mother household and the destruction of the family in general. Is that the Democratic Party knew that, blacks didn't have as much political representation. Now remember, this is the 50s, and this is before civil rights. So the Democrats knew the blacks had no representation in politics. What the black women that went along with this and the black men that went along with this didn't understand, or if they didn't understand how much destruction this would have in the next 60 years to where we are now, is that, you know what I mean, by taking money. And think about it, this is the 50s. This is before you have the whole civil rights and all that stuff. So they took the money. What they didn't get, what those black, the black women back then in the 50s didn't get, was that you're now empowering the same government that was hanging you, that didn't allow, that had segregation. Even though black people's taxes were paying for the water, you know what I'm saying? Every black person paid their taxes, but they didn't have access to certain fountains and all that. You were basically paying to segregate yourself. So here's the brilliance of the Democratic Party, is that what happened is, once they got the black women to go along with this, to say, we'll take this money that the government is gonna give us welfare if the father isn't around, what it did is it disenfranchised the entire black family. And it became a lot of these women, the black women back then in the 50s, thought they were winning. But in reality, it started showcasing that, yes, you can depend on the government to be the man of the household. But in reality, what was going on was that the government was setting it all up to create an economy that runs on imprisonment, the private prison industry, and imprisoning people in general. It all started with this welfare practice. Because by destroying the family and not having a father around, you would have the children running around without the father's presence and that stability of the family around. So you would have the children get into more trouble. And what they did is they gave the women scraps. Here's your welfare, and they give a certain amount. They gave enough, but they didn't give. They gave a certain amount. They gave enough to, kind of like keep the people, coming by and waiting for that next welfare check. That's where it all started. The first drug the government actually put into the community wasn't narcotics. It wasn't narcotics. It was that welfare check. You give that black mother enough money so she can wait for the next check. You get it? You get her hooked on waiting for that next welfare check. And that's what started. That's basically the precursor to all the gangs. The whole goal of the Democrats was to create a community of prisoners, a community of people that would go to jail, that would eventually self-destruct. You see, once you get the father out of the household and you get the mother to actually support that decision. Had the majority of black women back then said, you know what, we're not gonna do it. You're basically trying to destroy our family. You're targeting us. We're gonna, you know what I'm saying, the whole black community, we're gonna protest against this, that they're targeting us, that they're trying to give us tax money if we destroy our family, but they didn't. And what this created is that this created the actual gang member. The fact that it created, through the women, it created the first wave of people that were all right with destroying their family. You got to understand that your willingness to commit a crime and kill others starts at home. Once you're able to exist in at home where you don't value your family, you don't value anyone at the house, how much value you gonna have for people outside of that? You see that whole thing where I used to believe it too. Oh, Nixon started the war on drugs and they were putting drugs in the community. It did not start there. The drugs, that's the aftermath. It all started with destroying the family and creating addiction to welfare, creating an addiction to that next first of the month, that next check. And what a lot of those black women in the late 50s that accepted this didn't get is that you're literally helping the government, helping the Democratic Party destabilize your community. Removing that father out of the household removed protection. It removed, honor. It removed an unwritten code we men have. We men have a code, and it's a code that we all know. You walk outside, and this is why, to go further, this is why more boys are actually in gangs and why they were bred to be gang members is that without the father around, those boys were being raised as women. And what that means is they were being raised with a lack of an awareness of their manhood. And what that created is without having a father around to tell them, yo, you gotta get a job, you gotta work hard, you gotta do this. They embodied everything that their mother would want. You gotta understand when what's the first thing when you used to go to church, what did your mom used to tell you? Used to tell you, you gotta look good, you gotta look right. The way you look will determine this and that. No. You see, that's how a woman advertises herself. The way you look and how you dress and everything like that. That's how a woman advertises. The father would be, you're gonna work hard. You're gonna earn your keep. You're gonna struggle. You'll look the way you need to look for the job. It's not to impress people or stuff like that. Allergies, man. So that's what happened, man. The creation of gang members all started with welfare. And the Democrats targeted the black community by making an offer to the black women first is to abandon your man. And I'm going to make a video series soon called The Black Civil War. Why there's a civil war between the black man and the black woman. You know what I'm saying? But basically, once the black women accepted that welfare, they basically allowed the Democrats into the household, and the Democrats were attacking on all aspects. They were bringing in Planned Parenthood. Margaret Thatcher, whose ideal was with Planned Parenthood was to eliminate the black family and black people by having them abort their children. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's what the first gang members were, man. The first gang all started, it didn't start with the drugs. It all started with destroying and dismantling that family unit. Once you remove that stability in the household, you basically created a walking, ticking time bomb of a person. You know what I'm saying? That person doesn't feel whole at their house. Why would they feel whole outside? And here's the biggest level of damage and why the black community is the way it is. The Democrats, this plan was genius, man. And, I know it's evil, I know it's morally wrong, but, you give credit where credit is due. Once they got the black women to volunteer to take that welfare, what they did is they basically destroyed the future of black men in the political office. You know, you could see it right now where you have black men not as much in the political office, and you have like a competition between black men and black women for political seats, when in reality, what should be happening is those black women should be leaning on and hoping that the black men are in office, because the men can defend you. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna instill that strength, because men do not depend on the government for their rights. Men earn their rights. They weren't allowed. So what the government did, and in fact what the Democrats did by giving the black women, welfare and having them take the welfare, is what the black women back then in the 50s didn't understand, is that you took the welfare over your political representation, over the future of your family, over, you took the destruction of the family over everything. And that's why we're in the position we're in right now, where there's such a high division between black men and black women. And the greatest thing, here's the greatest victory about this for the Democrats, is that they created a loop. They created a loop. The Democrats thrive on poverty. They thrive on poverty, while the Republicans thrive on national, you know, the fear of other countries. The Democrats thrive on poverty. Poverty. That's why you see New York right now. It's closing. All the Democrats are just closing the state over and over again. They don't care, because they want the public to panic. They want to increase poverty so they can increase the welfare and have the public depend on them, so they don't have to actually do any work that would better that community. So, like I was saying, basically, once they created a loop, and now they have black women and black men on a loop where they're volunteering to be against themselves, and especially they weaponize the black woman by, making it that when you get a job now, they'll count the black woman as two things: a woman and a black. So you don't need a black man. They want to maintain and remove the power of the male representation in the black community. That's why you see, what is it, Black Lives Matter is not led by any black man, because a black man would stand up and wouldn't worry about negotiating and seeking allowance from the government. It would be, you're either gonna help us or we'll operate without you, So what they did, they created a loophole, a loop. So now you got the black community in a circle. And the circle it started with, you got the black women in a loop where it's always about, my first options is, I could have a child, get some welfare money. I don't need a man. And here's the ultimate thing they don't get with that, is you don't have any political representation or stability. You know what I'm saying? That's why we're in the position we're in right now when it comes to the black community. That's why Black Lives Matter is a brand instead of a true a true legal reality. I mean, notice you got Black Lives Matter marching and all that, but where is it legally? Where does it say in the law that your Black Lives Matter? Where is the law? Where is a law that's been passed that you can't be prejudiced? You can't give more time to a person based on their culture or race or ethnicity. No, Black Lives Matter is all about seeking more allowance from the government. You know what I'm saying? And they love it. The Democrats are loving this. A lot of brands, as I made with my Black Lives Matter in sports, they're loving it, because guess what? I mean, what is it? Gucci came out with some type of product where if you want to support Black Lives Matter, you buy this. It's become a brand. Black Lives Matter might as well be Nike, Adidas, you know what I'm saying, Tommy Hilfiger. It's a brand. It's not a reality. So to answer your thing, man, gangs did not start with drugs. It did not start with Reagan. It did not start with I forget his name right now. That president, I forgot his name. Nixon. Yeah, it didn't start with Nixon. It all started before then. They dismantled the community to create nothing but poverty and to remove the man in the household. Once you remove a man outside of his family, that stability, that leadership, that man that's seeking to exist and earn and take the rights they deserve. Once you move a father out, you have a group, you have a single mother household where you create them seeking allowance. What do you always hear from Black Lives Matter? We need this, we need that, allowance, increase our allowance, allow us this, allow us that, allow. It's about allowance. So all the gang activity, Bloods, Crips, whatever gangs you want to talk about, it all started in the 50s when they destroyed and dismantled the black family. Once they destroyed the black family, they basically created a community that seeks to make and profit off of its own destruction. And that's basically the gang mentality. You know, that's why I say I'm gonna make a video about the Black Panthers soon. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make a lot of videos. I plan to make a lot more. I plan to do something special this October. Maybe one video a day. I'm gonna see what I can do. If I can pre-record it. But to answer your thing, man, it all started in the 50s. All the gangs and all that, it all started in the 50s because they set up everything. We're gonna give the black women welfare if they kick the father out. So you got no men around the community, and you weaponize the women by giving them the right to kick out their husbands or fathers from the household without question, because you have the governing body, the Democrats, that will give you money that will literally, and this is probably the start of DIFUS, that will literally militarize and give that woman access to the governing power to take out her husband and to ensure that their goals operate, to increase the abortions and remove, by having the fathers and stability out of the community, you basically removed the black men from being able to obtain political representation. That's why in America we still have, the first black governor, the first black mayor, the first this, the first that, you know what I'm saying? Because of what welfare did, the damage. A lot of these black celebrities, these black celebrity bumps, want to talk about 400 years of slavery and all this. They want to scrub what really happened. And now you have black people in a loop where they're still seeking allowance from the government. They're still supporting Democrats and Republicans, and they're supporting all these people that had power that literally destroyed your community, especially the Democrats. You know what I'm saying? And the Democrats have created a great lapdog. You know what I'm saying? They destroyed that community, and they knew by removing the men out of the house, only the government would be the male figure. That's why you have the Democrats always lead with black women to announce their political, goals. That's why you saw Cardi B get an interview with Joe Biden. Cardi B, a stripper, not even qualified to probably read a dictionary. You know what I'm saying? That's who you got representing the black people. That's what they thought of you. Joe Biden was like, damn, we need a black that represents everything we want. Oh, Cardi B, perfect. She's uneducated. Oh man, she's rapping about sexuality, destruction of the community. This is exactly what we want. The Democratic Party. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it started. It didn't start with gangs. It didn't start with the government giving drugs. It started with the government providing welfare and creating a true destructive, identity through welfare and such. You know what I'm saying? So, we'll see what happens, man. But that's what happened. It all started. It didn't start with drugs. It started with welfare. All right.
They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of